Mark Safe here again. For many poker players, flopping a set can be either the greatest feeling in the world or the worst. It all depends on how they play their hand. In this lesson, we're going to teach you how you can make the most of your hand when you flop a set in position and give you some advice to help you get away unscathed or maybe just a little nicked up if your hand collapses on the turn or river. There's a very simple reason that a lot of players find themselves losing big pots when they flop a set in position. They get greedy. Instead of playing their hands in a straightforward manner, they try to get tricky and end up giving their opponents free cards that can come back and bite them before the hand is over. Let's say you raised pre-flop with pocket nines and flopped a set in position on a board of ace-9-3 rainbow. At this point, you're probably thinking, bingo, and you should be. The question is, what should you do if your opponent checks to you on the flop? If you say check behind, you're being greedy and, more importantly, making a bad play. First, think about the fact that you're going to be continuation betting this flop with a wide range of hands. If you raised pre-flop and you check behind your opponent, you're doing something out of the ordinary, giving your opponents reason to be suspicious. What's more, if you only c-bet when you have weak hands and check when you have strong hands, you're creating a pattern that observant opponents will quickly decipher and use against you. Remember, you're going to play more than a single hand of poker in your poker career, so you want to avoid betting in ways that give your opponents consistent information about the strength of your hand. The second problem with checking on this board is that it's simply not as profitable as betting. Remember, there are two reasons why your opponent is likely to check the flop. Either they hit the board with something like ace-king or ace-queen and are looking to check-raise you on the turn, which you want, or they have nothing. Even if they do check because they missed the flop, checking behind them takes away an opportunity for them to check-raise you on a bluff where they are going to put a large number of chips into the pot with air, which obviously you want. In either case, you're giving up an opportunity to get your opponent to commit a large number of chips to the pot when you have a huge hand, and that's just giving money away. What if you're the pre-flop raiser and your opponent bets into you on an uncoordinated board? Again, that's great because, as we've already know, this is very likely to be a weak lead where the opponent is looking for information. In this case, your best play is just to call behind his bet and hope he likes his hand enough to bet again on the turn. Now, let's say your opponent raised pre-flop and checked to you on the flop. Based on our earlier lessons, we know there's a good chance that he hit the board pretty hard here and he's trying to trap you with a check raise. Well, guess what? Let him. If he checks, you can bet and then call or re-raise to re-trap him. If, on the other hand, your opponent raises pre-flop and then continuation bets the flop, you should just call on an uncoordinated board and hope he bets again on the turn. Now let's look at how we should play our hand if we flop a set on a coordinated board like 10 of clubs, 9 of clubs, 5 of diamonds. When a board presents straight and flush draws like this, your set can go bad very quickly if a scare card lands on the turn. In this situation, there's absolutely no advantage to slow playing. You're either going to bet the flop if your opponent checks to you, or you're going to raise big if he bets into you. In either case, your goal here is to either end the hand right there and then, or to get all in while you think you have the best of it so you don't have to make a tough decision on a later street.